Well, we all know what's gone on this year. I mean,
Yes.
2020 has been definitely the most unique year of my life, I'm sure of your life, but entertainers aren't touring. Movies have been shelved. So what's tour protection? What do you do? I mean, from that point on, I mean, what I hear...
That's what we were saying. What do we do?
Right.
And I think, we have several core competencies, but that's our primary focus. That's where our business is. So if we can't do the tours, if we can't do films on location in foreign countries, where do we go? What do we do? We shifted a little bit back toward the executive side, a little bit toward governmental, but for the most part, we're doing training and education. So what we refer to as T&E, education through, say, the book, education through training courses, training civilian market. We do a lot of different types of training, but we've basically broken down into 6 areas. And in those 6 areas, it starts with introduction protection. How do I look at this scenario? How would I analyze this environment? How do I manipulate my behavior based on what I'm seeing in this environment?
Is that basically situational awareness, essentially?
Situational awareness is a component of that, right? But the common one that we talk about a lot is baseline anomaly, right? So what that is in a nutshell is you establish what's normal in this environment. So as we look around here, we're kind of in an old English den. And in this environment, it's normal to see mounted deer or turkey or pheasants, and you have a bar maybe, and you have wood, and you have all these things. And this is all normal because we've established through sitting here for whatever period of time, this is normalcy. So that's our baseline. If you were to see a naked man run through here, that would not be normal. That would be an anomaly.
Right.
And what we look for next is it a critical anomaly, meaning something that can hurt us, or is it a benign anomaly? Something that just, that guy ran through because there's a college party going on here, he's a frat boy and they had something going on and he had no idea we were in here doing this interview and he just ran through. So it's a benign anomaly above the baseline and it really doesn't pertain to us, it's no big deal. So I don't rush you out of the room and I don't move anything and I don't shoot people and I don't react to that. And most anomalies are exactly that. They're benign. They're not critical anomalies. Now, I have to make that determination immediately, and then I have to respond to it.
And you're well trained in that. You've got a mindset for that. So what you're doing with the training with civilians is essentially changing their thinking, right? Creating a new mindset in the way you look
how do
at
I look at it? And so if I take a complex system that's designed for, say, military personnel, and I break it down to you in your everyday environment, and I can just make it, okay, you have one of 3 things, right? An anomaly just occurred, now we have to make a choice, right? Do we continue on as we've been doing? Do we change our course or where we're sitting? Or do we just cancel it all and just leave this building, right? So I can change behavior, I can cancel an operation, a job, a movement, right? Or I can continue as planned. And now I get you thinking in those terms. Okay, this just happened. How does it apply to me or how does it affect me?
Is it open to anyone? Your website mentioned a background check and basically a criminal background check?
Yeah, so U.S. citizen, background check, no felonious history or no domestic violence, over 21, because there are some firearms components in it. And for pistols, it's better for us to keep everybody over 21.
So there's a book component to this, though, right? We've got the protection for and from humanity.
You got it.
Would you recommend people read your book first before they think about joining a training program? Or is this something you introduce to a client on their first meeting with you and say, hey, go read this or make this part of your training?
That wouldn't go down too well for me with the clients that I have. That's it's dry reading material, but the training component has an AM training, which is classroom, kind of PowerPoint. Hey, these are the theories. These are how the theories play out in the real world. And then a PM component, which is essentially you getting hands-on doing that. The thing we talked about, now we're going to look at how we physically do the thing, and then you're going to do it. And then after that, there's teach back. So you see it, you hear it, you kind of watch it unfold, say in a video or in a classroom, an instructor is telling you, and then you go do it. And once you get done doing it, then you may teach it back to a peer just to solidify what you've learned.
Sure. Sure.
And that for most people is pretty good. I mean, if you're learning how to deal with a driver who's either had a heart attack or been shot dead, and taking control of the vehicle and how you manipulate it and where you're stepping and how you're getting there and what you're thinking about doing. If you're dealing with specific types of attacks when you're moving people and it's you and your wife and a dog or a kid, who do you put where and how do you move your hands if you're trying to clear a gun? Mm-hmm. It can just be planning and organizing. How do you go in a building? How do you look at it? Where do you move if something happens, right? So for us, the priority is not being where there are problems, right? I don't want to go to East St. Louis at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Friday night, because that's where problems happen.
Basically, right?
Yeah, look, anything, a bar. I know this bar has fights every night. I don't go to that bar if I don't want to fight.
Right.
And then if we end up in a spot where something unfolds that we don't want to be part of, the best choice is to leave.
Yeah,
it's not to take your cell phone out and record something for social media and stand there and wait for it to come to you. If you get stuck or trapped and you can't leave, then we talk about barricading, what tools you can use to barricade, where you would go to barricade, or even if you don't make it to barricading, what weapons of opportunities do you have so that you can fight back, and how would you fight back?
Right.
But mindset based. Right?